Former presidential candidate RFK Jr. joins us now. All right, RFK Jr., if you were on stage facing Kamala Harris, how would you turn this exchange into a victory for you?
I'd talk about her record. I'd talk about the border. I would, if between 7 and as high as 15 million illegal immigrants who've come in, escorted in by the Sinaloa drug cartel. They've been crushing the social safety system in our country. I talk about the COVID lockdowns, which closed 3.3 million businesses, and 41% of the black-owned businesses will never reopen. It shifted $4.3 trillion north from the American middle class to this new oligarchy of billionaires. I would talk about censorship. I think she's very, very vulnerable on that because of the statements that she's made, but also the policy of the Biden administration. You now have Mark Zuckerberg coming forward and saying that the Biden White House ordered him to censor President Biden's political opponents. And I'd want to know about where she stood on that. I'd talk about the health epidemic in our country that is overwhelming American children. I talk about her role in gaslighting the country about President Biden's mental condition. She told the country that she was talking to him every day and that he was perfectly okay. And then we realized that it was all a hoax when we saw him on the debating stage. Oh, I think she has a lot of the economy is a mess. We've got I want to know how she's going to deal with the housing crisis, how she's going to get our kids back into houses again. Our kids can't afford housing, the first generation in history. I'd ask her about the deficit, $35 trillion. $1 trillion every 90 days, we're adding $1 trillion. Within 5 years, 50 cents out of every dollar that we spend in taxes is going to go to servicing the debt. Does she have a plan for that? And then I'd ask her whether she's content to go.
She doesn't have a plan. She doesn't have a plan, obviously. Or if she has a plan, it's not her plan. It's other people's plan that they tell her is her plan, and then she'll just voice it. You talked when you went up on stage with Donald Trump a little while back about making America healthy again, and he's deputizing you. And you're going to make America healthy again. So when you get in there, if Donald Trump is fortunate enough to be reelected, how are you going to strangle the food industry so that it can't poison the children? And how are you going to strangle the pharmaceutical industry so it can't poison the people? Because I don't know, RFK, I'd rather go up against the CIA than take on big food and big pharma. I mean, that is not going to be easy. What's your plan?
No, it's not going to be easy, but, the regulatory agencies were set up to do exactly that, and now they're doing exactly the opposite. And, I've litigated on these issues, Jesse, against NIH, against CDC, against FDA. When you litigate against these agencies, you get a PhD in corporate capture and how to unravel it. And I understand exactly what we need to do. We need to take the $42 billion budget of NIH, which is now being used to incubate new pharmaceutical products to treat chronic disease. And instead, we need to figure out what's causing it. We need to name names. We need to say, whether it's high fructose corn syrup is linked to the obesity epidemic, establish the science behind that. And once we have a good science out there, the litigators come in and we'll solve the problem.
So you are going to tackle root causes. That's interesting. I remember someone else was responsible for root causes and didn't really get to the bottom of it. I like that plan. I hope the plan works. RFK Jr., thank you so much for joining us again on Jesse Watters Primetime.
Thank you, Jesse. Thanks for having me again.
Of course. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.